I won't say his name, but a colleague of ours yesterday, I was in the latrines.
Yes.
And he was in the stall and I was washing my hands. And he came out, didn't flush, didn't wash his hands, saw me, acknowledged me, said hello, and walked straight out. I looked in said toilet, left a big poo.
I feel like you need to name this person so that we could all be aware.
Well, I'll give you a clue.
Yeah.
I often tell him to listen to this podcast, and he never does.
Well, that could be anyone.
He's not housebroken. And
That's awful.
I now look at him completely differently, and it was a mess.
I need to know who it is so I can never follow them into the bathroom.
Don't shake hands with anyone that we work with, just in case.
This is why you need to tell me who it is.
He supports Man United. Don't say his name.
I am never touching him. I'm never touching you.
Don't say his name.
What are we doing?
I'm going to keep this in, but you don't say his name. Have you guessed who it is?
Are you recording this?
Yeah, I like this.
Yes, I have guessed who it is.
Okay, so you know who it is now.
I do, yes.
All right, don't touch him.
It's
Welcome to Just Not Cricket, a football podcast hosted by myself, Hal Stewart, and Adam Scott. Welcome back, Adam.
Hello.
The mysterious player of mystery. I have the scores. I went back and listened.
Yes.
And I was actually correct from last time. The current score, Adam, is 13-11 to you.
Oh.
This is the final mysterious player of mystery.
It is.
It all rests on this. A point is no good for me.
It isn't.
I have to get 3 points. This is like Arsenal going to Anfield at the very last game of the season. Mm-hmm. What was it, 89?
Yes.
By 2 clear goals. 2-1 wouldn't do them. A draw's no use.
Yes.
And then they would have won the league.
You are setting the scene.
And I need to be Michael Thomas today. So here we go. Let's do the mysterious player of mystery. For the last time, it is Adam asking me.
The mysterious player of mystery.
The way it works, Adam will give me the career history of a hopefully well-known professional footballer, maybe still playing, maybe retired. If I get it at the end of the podcast, without any clues, I get 3 points. I win the entire thing. If I have to ask the position and then get it, it's 1 point. That would be no good to me. And obviously, if I don't get it at all, it is no points, and Adam would be victorious. Now, really, there is a problem with this entire feature.
And that is?
We should have had a third party doing this all along, because there's no incentive for you to come up with an easy one for me.
I mean, they were a well-known player in the 50s.
We've never, pre-podcast, sat down and planned anything we're going to do on this podcast, have we?
And I think that comes across.
We just meet seconds before and it just happens.
Would you like the career history of this, I think, relatively well-known player?
Oh, you've set me up for a fail.
I think you'll get this.
All right, you've set me up for a bigger fail.
Bastia.
It's not a good start.
Olympique Lyonnais. Chelsea. Real Madrid. AC Milan. Panathinaikos. Persib Bandung. So there's some big name clubs in there.
Yeah.
The final one, I believe, is in Indonesia. F your I. Well, you're not immediately doing your annoying victory dance, so that's...
No, I haven't got a clue, really. I'm trying to, in my head, do the Chelsea to Real Madrid transfer. That's what's going to get it for me, I
okay.
think.
Well, just to be nicer to you, that was a loan.
All right, that was the mysterious player of mystery. Have you got it? So many people tell me they never get this. Adam,
I've got it.
Thank you. I asked for questions for the podcast.
Yeah.
And we have had some submitted.
All right. Who by?
Well, different people on Twitter.
On the Twitter.
I'll just check if there's any more.
The Twitterati have spoken.
Very good. Simon Bell has taken a picture of the beach and said, "Where are you?"
Where is he?
I think he's at the beach.
Oh.
We'll see you there. Swindon Devils CMFC on Twitter asks, Adam, favourite footballer's name? Also, same question for Hal.
So both of us, really.
Yeah.
We've actually covered.
We've done funniest names,
Yeah,
but that
and
doesn't
I
mean
think
favourite name.
But yeah, one of those is my favourite.
Go on then.
And I can never remember if he's Dutch or Belgian.
Oh, I know the one you mean.
The defender,
Yes.
Mark de Man.
That's very good.
That's fantastic.
I like alliteration, as you know. I've
Yes.
gone with Peter Panda, the German formerly involved at Borussia Mönchengladbach. In fact, Panda made the most expensive transfer at the time in Borussia Mönchengladbach's club history when he signed the Argentine football player Federico Insua for €4.5 million.
There you go. I also quite like saying the former Bayern Munich defender Hasan Salihamidzic.
Salihamidzic. Okay. Question for Adam. What will you miss most about the podcast from Harry in Boston, Lincolnshire?
Why, what's happening to it?
Oh, yeah, this is the last one, we think.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, probably.
This is how I find out. From Harry in Lincolnshire.
Thanks, Harry. It's how you would have wanted it.
What will I miss?
Yeah.
I don't know. What will I...
Oh, sod all by the sounds of it. Great. Oh, by the way.
Well, I will just miss doing the podcast.
Thank you. We now know the age of our youngest listener.
We do. How old is our youngest listener?
6.
Really?
Which means I need to change so much.
You do?
Question for both. Do you actually like each other? That's from Jacob the Eagle. What made you think that?
I thought we were, hiding it so well.
Question for both. This is from Paul, a Sunderland fan. What's your best attribute?
Wow. As in, are we talking like in the Football Manager style, out of 20?
He just says, what's your best attribute?
Composure.
I've got very good calves. Quite pleased with those.
Do you?
Do you want to see?
Yeah.
Okay. Look.
Do you know, I was gonna say something sort of cutting, but actually that's very impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, why is it only one though?
Just the one. The other one's withered.
You've got a withered calf.
It's like a shaven table leg.
What is my best attribute? Well, I'm obviously very tall. Why are you laughing?
Because you're 5'7".
I'm not 5'7".
You're 5'7" if you're a day. You're shorter than me and I'm 5'8".
I'm not going to miss anything about doing the podcast.
Yeah, well, that's a previous question.
Point that out.
You missed that.
I feel I have been told that I'm quite funny.
Okay.
I take that as I always think it's a lovely thing to make somebody laugh.
Yeah.
So if I manage to do that, then that is a great compliment.
My dad always said if you can make just one person laugh, you're not very funny. If you were a footballer...
I was being all poignant then, and you just sprayed all over it.
Now, that's what I'm going to miss.
I was going to say a different S word, but I remembered our younger viewer.
At the end of the podcast, that's the bit I enjoy the most. Carol in Darlington, we do have women that listen.
Oh, okay.
So Carol, a woman, says, if you were a footballer...
It might be a Czech man called Karol.
It could be like Karol Poborski. Okay, so maybe a Czech man in Darlington says, if you were a footballer...
Czech people can live in Darlington?
If you were a footballer, who would you be?
Well, I fancy myself as a bit of an intellectual.
So you could be Graham Lasso?
Yeah.
I would be Karol Poborski, and I would live in Darlington. Thank you for all the questions. We will keep the Twitter going at JNC Pod, because I don't know how to delete it.
Wikipedia Club.
I thought we'd go to a nation that's just synonymous with the beautiful game. I feel like you can guess the nation I'm referring to.
Scotland!
Scotland! We are off north of the border. We're not, no.
Oh.
We are going to be talking about Sociedade Esportiva Palmeiras.
In Brazil?
In Brazil.
The green and whites.
The Verdão. Or the Big Greens.
The Big Greens.
The Big Greens.
Not a good nickname.
You only need to eat 3 of them a day, because they're big.
Do you know how many greens you're supposed to eat in Japan?
Specifically in Japan?
Yeah, you know that's 5 a day, the British government?
Yes.
In Japan, it's 18 a day.
18?
18, 1/8.
That's madness.
Yeah.
I don't know how I can carry on.
Yeah. I just keep saying that because it's really stopped you in your stride, hasn't it?
It has.
Yeah. How many do you think you get down a day? You're not big on veg, are you?
I don't eat a huge amount of veg.
No.
Or fruit.
No, you eat a lot of beige food.
I'm probably, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 is probably my max.
If someone said to you had to do a job which was on the road, and that would mean most of your stopping and starting would be eating like Ginster's pies in service stations, you'd be very happy with that. You'd welcome
I'd
that.
be dead. I would literally die.
I
would be 553 pounds, and then I would die. But under a sea of Ginster's wrapping.
In your own juices.
Oh.
Again, Adam, 6-year-olds.
Sociedade Esportiva Palmeiras. Founded in August 1914 by members of Sao Paulo's Italian community, Palestra Italia would quickly become a force in the city's sport league. Flash forward now to 1942, and Brazilian President Getúlio Vargas decrees that no organisation can bear any name related to the Axis powers. Of course, 1942, the Second World War, the Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan. So Palestra Italia became Palmeiras, the name it still bears to this day. The 60s and 70s saw much success for the Verdão, the Big Greens.
The Big Greens.
But then the 80s came around and the titles dried up. It wasn't until the 90s when that all changed, spurred on by the wealth created by a lucrative sponsorship deal with Italian dairy giant Parmalat.
Oh, nothing could go wrong.
Nothing. No.
I know how this ends.
No. Actually, it doesn't end quite as badly as it did for another club.
Parma.
Palmeiras lifted the Sao Paulo state title in 1993 to end a 16-year wait for a trophy. They did it again in 96, scoring 100 goals in the process. And 2 years later, they added the Mercosur Cup and the Copa do Brasil, and in 1999 they achieved perhaps their greatest feat. They defeated Deportivo Cali of Colombia to lift the coveted Copa Libertadores. You may remember the significance of that because that same year they were going to lose in Tokyo to European champions Manchester United.
Yes, I do remember
in
that.
the Intercontinental Cup. Now, in 2000, that sponsorship deal came to an end, just naturally. It wasn't because of, any outside source. It just came to an end.
Okay,
but that
good.
did leave the club in a financial crisis. And they were relegated 2 years later.
Do you remember who the manager was, or do you know who the manager was at that time?
I do not.
Okay.
The managers in Brazil change at a rate of knots.
It was probably Luxemburgo at some point.
Vanderlei Luxemburgo was a former Palmeiras coach. Since then, Palmeiras have had a series of ups and indeed downs. Regular appearances in the Copa Libertadores were evened out by another relegation in 2012, but it was 2015 that would be a watershed year. Their first season in their brand new stadium, the Allianz Parque, which is the most modern sporting arena in all of Brazil, but interestingly enough, was not built for the 2014 World Cup.
What was it built for, Adam?
It was just built for the club.
Why not?
It opened in November of 2014, so after the World Cup had finished. Since then, 2 more national championships have been added to the tally, bringing the total up to 10 overall, making Palmeiras the most successful club in Brazil, arguably.
Arguably. Are you sure the stadium wasn't built for the World Cup, but it was a bit of a Tottenham situation, so it was only finished after?
No, it wasn't on the list of
Was it not?
stadia as part of the hosting bid. Now, I say that makes them potentially the most successful Brazil. I mean, by European terms, winning the national title 10 times,
That's good.
the most number of any club in Brazil, would make them the most successful club. But in Brazil, the regional titles have a huge amount of weight.
Oh, they're nonsense.
Well, not to the people that live there.
Yeah, but they play against noddy teams.
They do. I mean, I mentioned that they lifted that Sao Paulo title, scoring 100 goals in the process. They have won 10 Campeonato Brasileiro Série A titles. That is the top flight in
It's
Brazil.
like the Premier League, yeah.
They've won 3 Copa Brazils. They have won 2 second-tier titles.
Mm-hmm.
They've won 24 Sao Paulo titles. That is the Campeonato Paulista.
Is that the record?
24 sounds impressive, doesn't it? Corinthians, arch rivals, 29.
Ah, you did know that. Good knowledge. Okay.
29. And that, arguably, is the one that they look for the most. So to still trail their great rivals by 5 titles is a bit of a blow. And they also won the Copa Libertadores in 1999. Palmeiras play in green and white, but their original kit was blue and white in homage to their Italian heritage.
I prefer green and white.
It is a lovely kit.
Yeah,
it does
looks
stand out.
very Plymouth Argyle, isn't it?
Yeah, see, there aren't enough teams that play in green.
No, and actually, I was trying to think after last week. You mentioned the Montpellier blue and orange.
Blue and orange, yes.
I can't think of any other teams. I mean, Shrewsbury is sort of yellow and blue, but
is it a gold and blue?
it might be a yeah. I can't think of any other teams that wear blue and orange.
No, I don't think. No, it is a very striking combination.
I like that.
I think that I have in my head there is a J League side that play in blue and orange.
Okay, but because you can't be them on Football Manager, I know nothing about the J League.
I think it's Oita Trinita.
I mean, you could say Oita Trinita.
I'm not sure that's the exact name. I would have to Google that later. But I have a feeling it's just a little knowledge popping up in my head.
Okay, I believe it.
They play at the Allianz Parque, which is a very impressive modern stadium. Would you like to have a stab at the attendance
I'm going to say it's
capacity?
quite big. I'm going to say 49,000.
43,713. And it's quite a big thing, this stadium, because a lot of the stadiums in Brazil are owned by the local councils or governments. And this is a stadium owned by Palmeiras themselves. It's a bit like Juventus in Italy, that having their own stadium has really given them a leg up
The J Stadium.
on their rivals. The club's chief rivals are Corinthians, and their Sao Paulo derby, or the Paulista derby, is considered the most intense in the country. It also provided the backdrop of the 2005 film O Casamento di Romeo e Giulietta, a retelling of the classic Shakespeare love tale, although in this case between a Palmeiras loving girl and a Corinthians supporting chap. You have your hand raised.
I mentioned that Juventus' stadium is called the J Stadium.
Yeah.
If every stadium was named after the first letter, they would be the P Stadium, Palmeiras.
Yes.
And that would be very appropriate for Barry Fry when he visits.
Oh, I see, because of his unique way of...
Wanton wand for urinating in all corners.
Well, no, there was a reason.
Yeah,
behind
it
that.
was
He was
an exorcism.
exercising
Yeah.
spirits. It wasn't something stupid.
It was also exercise, I would have thought, walking
Well, for
around.
Barry.
It's got a large... Hello. Barry, you're listening, please. You're in fine fettle.
Their mascot is a pig. Because in the past, the Corinthian fans in particular, would insult the Palmeiras fans with the nickname Porco,
Right.
which was a slang term for the city's Italian community, and the Palmeiras fans just embraced it.
Well, that's a good way of taking ownership of it.
Absolutely.
It's the year of the pig, of course, in China.
Indeed.
So it could be their year.
The pig is a noble animal and delicious.
You don't even cook it first, do you?
No. Why wait? Their most famous player is a chap called Etior Mastelino Dominguez,
I've
who went
never
by
heard
the
of him.
name of Heitor. He played 358 games for the club. He was a forward. Would you like to have a guess at how many goals he scored in 358 games?
130.
327.
He was like Maxim Tishkalko.
He was the Maxim Tishkalko of Sao Paulo.
Well, that rhymes. Write a song about that.
Well, that's very exciting because I've just got to the anthem portion.
Oh, good.
Of my
It's
segment.
all scripted, kids.
That brings us to the anthem portion of my segment. Palmeiras have an anthem. Now, in Portuguese, I imagine it's probably a bit more romantic. But I'll tell you the words in English. When the imposing white greens emerge on the pitch where battle awaits, aware of what lies before it, that the struggle of the game is approaching, and Palmeiras is the heat of the match, making loyalty its norm, always knows how to emerge victorious and show that it's indeed the champion. Impenetrable defence, vigorous attacking line, singing, cheering supporters, for our white-green as a whole, that knows how to be Brazilian, boasting its fibre. Which is a strange line to end on.
You think that's strange? You know what the official slogan of North Korea is?
That has an official slogan?
Yeah.
What is the official slogan of North Korea?
Let us turn ours into a country of mushrooms by making mushroom cultivation scientific, intensive, and industrialised.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you like mushrooms?
Not particularly.
Not much room for them.
The core of their current squad is provided by the penalty-saving specialist Fernando Pras, veteran centre-back Edu Dracena, who partners on loan AC Milan defender Gustavo Gomez, Venezuelan international Alejandro Guerra and Ricardo Gula pull the string in midfield, and up front, Brazil international Dudu vies with former Cologne, Levante and Alaves forward Deverson. And in charge of it all is Luis Felipe Scolari, the
Big
former
Phil.
Chelsea coach, Big Phil, who is in his third spell in charge of the club and has led them to 6 of their major titles, including that aforementioned Copa Libertadores. And that is Sociedad Esportiva Palmeiras.
Okay, I got some questions for you.
Shoot!
Well, that's very appropriate you say that. I want you to tell me the 7 Dutch players who've scored a Premier League hat-trick.
Bergkamp.
Yes!
Yeah! I got them all now.
You can think about it if you want. Come back to it.
Van Persie.
Yes.
Van Nistelrooy.
Yes.
I think that's all there is.
No, there's more.
No, that's it.
No, there's more.
I'm sure that's it.
There's more.
There's more?
Think planetary.
Planetary.
Think out of this world.
Out of this world.
Go over it.
Pluto.
Yes, and if you were to go,
Mars.
if you were to fly above it, you'd be going...
Over Mars.
Over Mars. Yeah, that was hard work. I thought for a moment you were going to go over Pluto.
We'll get that. We'll tidy that up in the edit.
Okay, the next one.
Zenden?
No.
Ah.
The next one, a man that we've mentioned before, and he has 3 names, although double-barrelled.
Jimmy Floyd.
Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. The next one looks a bit like a fella from the Goonies.
Which fella from the Goonies?
The ugly one.
Oh, right.
What was that guy's name? Do you know what I mean?
I do.
That guy. I don't know
Yes,
his name.
I can't
I haven't watched
remember.
that film for a long time.
Ed De Hoy.
He's not going to score a hat-trick, is he?
Well,
he's a
looks-
goalkeeper.
He looks a bit like the guy from the Goonies.
He looks like an adult film star, sir.
Okay.
This man does not.
Oh, Dirk Kuyt.
Yes. And the
That's
last
a bit
one...
harsh on Dirk Kuyt.
The last one scored 4 goals
4 goals.
in October 2015 when playing for, I think, Newcastle. Now plays for Liverpool.
Wijnaldum.
Yes, you got them all with very little help. I'll probably keep all that in. Now, Adam, one of the reasons this is probably the last one, and it might not be, we might get a bit of juice out of the lemon, but is that one of us is moving to Gibraltar.
Yes.
And I was thinking, are Gibraltar, actually a nation?
Yes.
What's the capital and all that? Well, they're not, and they don't have one. So I said to you, because they actually play football against international teams.
They do.
How many nations aren't nations? If you know
How
what I
many
mean.
nations aren't nations?
But yet they play international football.
I feel Gibraltar have got quite an advantage because I don't believe they're allowed to play against Spanish opposition.
That's right. They play at Victoria Stadium as well, and that's going to actually be open soon, so they won't be playing in Portugal anymore.
But imagine playing in European competition knowing you'll never be drawn against Real Madrid or Barcelona or Valencia. I mean, that's even very disappointing.
If you're in the Europa League, you don't want to be drawn against Sevilla.
Well, exactly.
They win it
so
every year.
So that's an advantage, surely.
It is an advantage, yeah. Because otherwise, I think Lincoln Red Imps wouldn't get to the final.
That would be the barrier.
That's the only thing.
They would come up against Barcelona, and that'll be it.
We really got to stop them winning it.
That's what FIFA decided.
Yeah, well, that's what they've made a mistake.
They gathered around, and that's what they came up with. Gibraltar are not alone as the only
nation that isn't a nation that
the
plays
only
international
nation that
football.
isn't a nation that plays international. I mean, there is quite an obvious example.
I was going to say the Vatican.
The Vatican, they don't. Well, they have like a sort of an internal competition, but they don't play proper FIFA-affiliated international football. Although they are a nation.
Oh, they are a nation?
They are recognised as a nation.
Okay, I've been there. I should have known that.
The United Kingdom.
Of course. Well, you mean in like the...
We don't play... The United Kingdom does not play football as the United Kingdom.
No, we're separate.
It plays football as it's for constituent countries. There are 3 sovereign states that have limited international recognition that play FIFA-approved competition. That is Chinese Taipei, or Taiwan, depending on your point of view, Kosovo,
yes,
and Palestine. Over in the Pacific, the Cook Islands play international competition. They are an associated state of New Zealand. There are 7 different British overseas territories that all play in FIFA-mandated competition, Gibraltar being one of them. Also, Anguilla, Bermuda, the British Virgin Islands, the Cayman Islands, Montserrat, and Turks and Caicos. Similarly, the Kingdom of the Netherlands have a couple of constituent countries, Aruba and Curacao. The Faroe Islands, they play in FIFA competitions, have done for many, many years. They are a constituent country of the Kingdom of Denmark.
Ah, yeah, of course.
The United States have 4 what they call unincorporated territories that ply their trade in FIFA competitions: American Samoa, Guam, Puerto Rico, and the US Virgin Islands. There are a couple of special administrative regions of China that play in Asian competitions, Hong Kong and Macau, and the French overseas territories of New Caledonia and Tahiti also play in international competitions.
Wow,
there are also a number of countries that play in regional competitions, but they don't play in the FIFA mandated competitions. So in Asia, the Northern Mariana Islands play in the Asian regional competitions. In Africa, Reunion, a French territory, and Zanzibar, part of Tanzania, they play. In North America, Bonaire, French Guiana, Guadeloupe, Martinique all play in the local Caribbean tournaments. They are all French overseas territories. And the island of Saint Martin is split
I've been there.
between the French and Dutch sides, and they both have representative national teams, Saint Martin and Saint Martin. And over in the Oceania region, the OFC, Kiribati, Niue, and Tuvalu all compete in the regional competitions but are not members of FIFA.
I think we can all agree, if just one county became an international team, it would win it all. Yorkshire.
Yes.
Good. Glad we both agree.
Are you going adding anything more to that?
Well, no, there's loads of good players from Yorkshire.
Well, no, there was
Bulk of the England side.
There was a story that appeared on the BBC a couple of years ago about Yorkshire looking to create a national team.
Should do. I mean, there is a sort of a Yorkshire team that does play in a non-FIFA recognised international tournament.
Yeah, that's what they were looking to join, to play against the likes of Guernsey and Jersey and
Greenland.
Greenland, Sealand.
SeaWorld.
SeaWorld.
Of all play. Okay.
Former West Ham United defender Julian Dix was once the national coach of Sealand.
Well, you mentioned West Ham.
I did.
You mentioned Julian Dix.
I did.
He's probably going to feature in this next bit that I've asked you to do. I feel like you've put up with a lot of Sheffield United chat on this podcast, which is very good of you.
So much.
Very good of you. So now we've got, when I'm going to switch off my brain, your West Ham favourite 11 that you've seen with your own 2 pins.
But yes, with my 2 pins, isn't that not your legs?
Oh, it could be, yeah. With your 2... What's the Cockney rhyming slang for eyes?
Pies?
With your 2 pies. There we go. It makes it sound like I'm a Londoner.
It does.
Apples and pears.
That was uncanny.
Right,
the old dog and bone.
Yeah. So with your apples and pears, give me your West Ham 11, please.
Well, first of all, I've been controversial.
Oh, really?
Because this is not a 4-4-2. 5-3-2.
Okay, I like that. The Blades play that. There we go. We've got a Sheffield United mention in on a West Ham 11. That's a result no matter what happens.
I think because I've waxed lyrical about this goalkeeper in the past, so I feel like you can guess who's going to be in goal in this 11.
Shaka.
Big Shaka Hislop, Super Shaka, will be in goal because he is fantastic.
He'd have got Mark Overmars.
Okay.
It's a NASA reference.
Oh, of course, yes, because he has some NASA connection.
Didn't he work at NASA?
I don't know.
I think he worked at NASA. I think he was the first man on the moon.
Oh, okay. I know that scans.
He's a lot older than he looks.
Now, you may remember that we did the Handsome 11.
Yeah, we never aired it, though.
Oh.
You never listened, do you?
No.
Yeah, I got rid of it.
Well, you made us do it twice.
No, we didn't do it well both times.
Okay. Well, how shall I...
No, you can talk about it.
Shall I make reference
I might put it in a later one when we do like a best of.
You were considering a Handsome 11. And I said to you that I would never trust a handsome centre-back.
You and Neil Warnock have said this.
So I had 3 centre-backs here. And I think these 3 all look like centre-backs.
3 ugly men, give them to me.
Not what I said.
3 hideous individuals.
Not what I said. Thomas Repka.
Thomas Redcard, yeah.
Neil Ruddock.
Oh, Razor.
Stuart Pearce.
I've got a lot of time for Stuart Pearce. Psycho.
Absolutely.
I've been walking with him. We went on a little walk.
Have you been following him?
We go walking in the
invited?
same. We go walking in the same place. I won't say where it is, but he regularly will go walking there with his missus, and we often stop and have a chat. So I met him about 3 times. I got a picture with him. I put it on Twitter.
Something slightly seedy about this story.
It's not seedy. How's it seedy?
I feel like there's a seedy undertone.
You see someone regularly on the same walk, even if they weren't famous, you'd stop and say hello, wouldn't you? It's not in the woods. I never said the woods. You've added the element of trees. It's a former railway line, if you must know.
I'm getting dogging from this story. So those are 3 very impressive, very hard to beat centre-backs. Or 2 very impressive, very hard to beat, and Neil Ruddock. On the left, I mean, it had to be Julian Dix.
Yeah, it had to be.
He was terrifying. He is a scary man, and what a left foot. Former national coach of Sealand. On the right, I don't know if you remember, Sebastian Schemmel.
How could I forget?
Well, he was a player of the year, and he was excellent, bombing down that right-hand side. French player. I don't know if he played for Metz. I'm trying to think if he played for Metz against West Ham in that very famous Intertoto Cup final. Maybe that's where Harry saw him. In midfield, Joe Cole, fantastic player.
He once apparently in the youth team scored a goal from the halfway line, heading it on his own head all the way until the end.
There you go.
Isn't that amazing?
Bit showy-offy.
Yeah.
Don't really like that.
No place for that, of course.
No.
In the man's game.
No place at all. Scott Parker, who was... Why are you laughing?
Because I always think of him as a little boy in the McDonald's advert, doing keepy uppies in the garden.
Okay.
And of course, a lot of people would have thought then, oh, that lad will never make it. What are the odds? And he's just had such a great career.
He was brilliant. He was
terribly
one of those players that every game, regardless of the result, he would be an 8 out of 10 at least. And you just need more of him. 3 consecutive years, he was Hammer of the Year. And for my to complete my midfield trio, I was torn between 2. Both of the same nationality.
Who won Blunt Instrument of the Year here?
Blunt instrument?
Well, hammer's a blunt instrument, isn't it?
No. This is a player of silky skills.
Trevor Sinclair?
No.
Okay.
I was torn between 2 Israelis.
Oh, Ayel Berkovic?
Ayel Berkovic was the one that I discarded in favour of Yussi Benayoun.
I thought John Hartson might have said, you can't have Ayel Berkovic, I'll kick his face off.
I mean, my abiding memory of Ayel Berkovic was getting kicked in the head by John Hartson.
So I put that picture on Twitter yesterday, bizarrely, and in the background is Razor Ruddock, who looks shocked. It was even too much for Neil Ruddock.
Well, that really sums it up. And it apparently was Ayel Berkovic who recommended the signing of Yussi Benayoun, who was a wonderful Israeli playmaker who went on to play for a number of massive English clubs. Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal. He played for them all. So obviously, he's a chap who could play a bit. Up front, there is a bit of an embarrassment of riches. I mean, I think you can probably guess one of these front 2.
Paolo One-Chop and Paolo Di Canio. The 2 Paolos.
Paolo Di Canio has to be in, because he, alongside a Frenchman who I'm not allowed to talk about, were the 2 best players that I've ever seen.
Why are you not allowed to talk about the Frenchman?
Because it ended badly. Payet.
Dimitri Payet.
Dimitri Payet.
Right, yeah. You say Payet, is that how you say it?
Or Payet, I don't know.
I always said Payet.
I don't want to talk about him.
Fine, we won't say Payet.
My heart.
So stop saying Payet then.
Paolo Di Canio, just a ridiculously talented footballer. A bit crazy, but then I think that the great Mavericks normally are.
Yeah.
I mean, some might say a little bit too fascist. But, I mean, that famous goal, you know the goal.
Against Wimbledon.
Yeah. That flying volley was just ridiculous. And also, he won a FIFA Fair Play Award as well, people often forget.
I go with the Paul Gerrard incident.
Yeah, with Paul Gerrard, who was the then Everton goalkeeper who had been felled in the box Play carried on. The ball was crossed to Paolo, and
Open net.
he caught it.
And quite rightly, the
Injured
referee gave him a booking for handball.
Quite right, and he was sent to because that was his second booking.
He pushed the referee over.
He punched him in the face.
Paul Gerrard, of course, former Sheffield United goalkeeper. Glad we could bring that in to this West Ham 11.
Now to partner Paolo, I mean, is an embarrassment, Rich. I mean,
Are you telling me I was wrong?
You mentioned Paolo one shot. He was considered.
Okay.
Dean Ashton, a wonderful forward whose career was curtailed so badly by injury. Freddie Canute, brilliant striker. But I went for the one that I most enjoyed watching, who was a real... I think this is going to be a surprise choice, and you're probably going to make some kind of snarky sound. But he was just a combination of pace and power that was just a joy to watch.
Okay.
He's got a lot of goals in the championship season. Marlon Howard.
Marlon Migraine, really?
He was brilliant.
Okay.
Pace and power. In
Right.
that league, he was often unplayable.
Wow.
Why are you laughing?
Just thought he wasn't very good at professional football.
Really? Have a look at his stats.
No, I don't want to.
Well, exactly, because they'll prove you wrong.
He looked a bit like the Goomba from the Mario Brothers movie.
Oh, yeah, he did that.
Yeah.
As a coach, Sir Trevor Brooking,
I'm not going to obviously make any fun now.
he had 2 caretaker spells in charge. At the end of one season, at the beginning of another. For 14 games, he was in charge overall. 9 wins, 4 draws, and just 1 defeat. He has the best win ratio of any West Ham United manager. That 1 defeat against Gillingham. And that is the West Ham United. Although I didn't like
Some
your reaction to
surprises.
Marlon Howard.
Well, I didn't expect you've had so many great strikers. I mean, Jermaine Defoe would have been a much more sensible
Jermaine Defoe,
choice.
yeah. Well, again, it was a bit acrimonious.
Yeah, I suppose. No one seems to leave West Ham well.
Well, that's not true.
Or what about Carlos Tevez?
I didn't want to bring him up.
Okay. I have no problem with Carlos Tevez. I have a problem with the people that signed him, but I don't have a problem with Mascherano or Tevez.
Well, Mascherano never got a game.
Well, Hayden
Glenn
Mullins.
Roeder thought that Hayden Mullins was a much better player.
Yeah.
I can't believe I left him out of this side.
He's on the bench, obviously.
I'm trying to think of somebody who left in good circumstances.
You can't, can you? They all left under a cloud. Even Canute when he went to Tottenham.
Wow, how could you do that?
Exactly, see?
How could you make that move? Freddie.
No one left well.
The mysterious player of mystery.
So how are you feeling about this?
I don't know who it is.
Bastia,
Right, so I don't know who it is from that.
Olympique Lyonnais, Chelsea, Real Madrid, loan spell, AC Milan, Panathinaikos, Persib Bandung. I mean, you do have your lifeline.
I know, but I don't. There's nothing then. Then
that's
it's 13-12, and that's just
Yeah.
agonising.
Well,
Honestly, I haven't got a clue. My brain is just saying I can't think of anything. I can't think of any French players ever.
I will throw you a bone.
Go on.
Not a French player.
Well, that changes things.
That changes the whole ball game.
It does a bit. I mean, I still haven't got a clue.
How are you feeling?
Not good. This is a horrible
this-
feeling. This is a bad feeling, Adam. I feel bad. And you've made me feel
I want
bad.
to give you some kind of encouraging clues, but then I don't want to. I don't want you to win.
If we didn't have the peeing on each other to look forward to at the end of each episode, I'd have nothing.
I've never approved of that.
Especially if we don't record in our own house. And you know what? The position isn't even going to help me. Because I just can't. It's like, when you just can't think of anything. If someone, like if you're doing a lie detector test and someone says, "What's your name?" you just panic and go, "Ah!
Susan!
You just can't think. That's where I am. I'm in that I can't think of anything.
Have you crumbled as the pressure? has-
Yes, it's the
as that-
pressure.
It's the pressure, yeah.
the
'Cause this was
pressure.
the big one. If this had been any other week, you would have nailed this. And I tell you what, I'll throw something else in there. Currently, at time of speaking, 36.
Doesn't help. Did they play any games for Real Madrid?
21 games,
Ooh, that's enough games.
2 goals. So that probably rules out goalkeeper.
Yeah, it does.
I've realised my tactical error there.
Okay, I'll go with Michael Essien.
Michael Essien.
I ain't got a clue.
Why are you saying Michael Essien?
Because I can't think of anyone else. And he might have started in France.
It's Michael Essien.
Is it? Yes! 14-13 from the jaws of defeat.
And to the person out there who thinks we
It just came to me.
create this, I can't tell you
That came to me very quickly, that,
how
in the edit.
annoyed I am. I so loathe seeing you happy.
Okay, well, we finished.
Oh, that's genuinely gut-wrenching.
For the last time, Adam, you know what to do, as I will bask in that Michael Essien glory.
I don't want to.
No, you don't have to. I can finish instead.
Oh, dear listener, I don't think we've got more than one. Is it just that one 6-year-old?
It's that lad.
Is he the only one hanging on in there?
That's why I didn't make my Cook Island joke. I suddenly changed my mind.
What was your joke going to be?
Do you know what the suffix would be? For, like in the UK, it's .co.uk on the internet.
The domain name.
The domain, yes, in the Cook Islands.
Domain, is it the domain? It's not the domain.
I don't know what
is
you'd
it?
call that bit.
But that thing.
That thing.
The .co.uk
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. So in the Cook Islands, it's .cock.
Is it? .co.uk?
co.ck.
Oh, it's .co.ck?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
We'll leave on a high note.
You know what to do.
And on that bombshell...
No, you can't finish with that.
Why not?
Because people tell me I sound like Alan Partridge.
That wasn't Alan Partridge.
Yeah, that's how it used to finish,
That
knowing
was
me,
always-
knowing you.
That was always Top Gear that
It
finished
used
like
to
that.
finish knowing me, knowing you with, and on that bombshell.
You do
So-
sound like a lot like Alan Partridge.
Well,
though.
you've been told you sound like many people, so I
Yeah, I
will
don't
point
mind.
that back at you, sir.
Well, I was about to finish it. Now I don't know what... I now need another... a wind-up.
A different kind of instrument of death, is that what you're now thinking of?
Say something else poignant, and I'll say on that note.
Oh, okay. Something else poignant. Oh, it's been a real pleasure bringing these podcasts to you. Thanks for the feedback. We may do some more. It all depends on if we are ever back together.
Because one of us is...
One of us. And one
skipping the country.
never know who.
Well, you'll never know which one it is.
Make it sound like I'm avoiding some sort of tax issue.
No,
or
it
I'm
wasn't a
wanted.
tax issue.
Okay.
It was legal. It was legal in nature. I'll leave it for you to decide, dear listener. And on that note, dear listener, viewer and reader, sadly, this time, we won't see you at the beach.